They can see your face, but now you may never see theirs. Across several U.S. states, new laws are letting police officers cover their faces, block their badges, and even turn off their cameras in what they call special situations. The official line is that it's for their safety. But what happens when you're the one who needs protection? This isn't a scene from a dystopian movie. This is the emerging reality of American policing, and your fundamental rights might be disappearing right before your very eyes. Let's unwrap what's really going on. Over the last year, a concerning trend has emerged. Multiple states have introduced or passed laws that significantly limit the public's ability to identify police officers, especially during protests, arrests, or other tense encounters. The stated reason is always officer safety. Proponents of these laws point to a rise in doxing threats, where an officer's personal information is maliciously shared online, and a general increase in hostility towards law enforcement. On the surface, protecting officers seems reasonable. Nobody wants police or their families to be targeted. But when you dig into the details of these new laws, you find they go much further than just preventing doxing. In some jurisdictions, officers are now explicitly allowed to cover or completely obscure their name tags and badge numbers. They being given the discretion to disable their body-worn cameras during what are vaguely defined as sensitive situations. And perhaps most alarmingly, these laws are creating massive roadblocks for the public to access official records. Public requests for footage or incident reports can be delayed for months, sometimes even years, or denied altogether under new, broad exemptions. Imagine this scenario. You're at a public protest, and things get chaotic. An officer detains you, maybe forcefully. You look for a name, a badge number, something to identify them by. But there's nothing. Their face is covered, their badge is gone. You're being arrested, and you have no idea who is arresting you. No name, no badge number, no accountability. This isn't a hypothetical. It's what these laws are enabling. The very tools designed to ensure transparency are being systematically dismantled, one statute at a time. For decades, the badge wasn't just a piece of metal. It was a symbol. It was a public declaration that said, I am an agent of the state, I serve under the law, and I can be held accountable for my actions. When laws allow that badge to disappear, so does your ability to demand that accountability. Think about the practical implications. If an officer violates your rights, uses excessive force, conducts an unlawful search, or engages in misconduct, how do you even begin the process of seeking justice? How do you file a complaint against an officer you can't name? How do you request body camera footage of an incident when you can't identify the officer who was there? Without that basic information, the entire system of oversight breaks down. Justice becomes a guessing game, and your rights become unenforceable. So, what does the law actually say about police identification? It's a bit complicated. At the federal level, there's no single nationwide rule that requires every police officer to show their identification at all times. This is largely left to the states and individual departments to regulate. Historically, most state constitutions and local police department policies have required visible identification during public interactions. This was seen as a cornerstone of community policing and public trust. The problem is that these new state laws are now overriding those local policies. They are creating a legal shield for anonymity that didn't exist before. And this is where civil rights groups like the ACLU are stepping in. They are challenging these rules in court, arguing that they violate fundamental constitutional principles. Their first argument centers on the First Amendment, which protects your right to film and document the actions of public officials. If you can't identify the official you're filming, that right is severely weakened. Their second major argument involves the 14th Amendment, which guarantees equal protection and due process under the law. Due process means you have a right to a fair legal proceeding. If you can't identify the officer who arrested or wronged you, how can you possibly have a fair proceeding to challenge their actions? The core principle is simple. When power is allowed to hide, the potential for abuse grows exponentially. This all sounds pretty bleak, but it's not hopeless. You are not powerless in these situations. It's as crucial to know what you can still legally do if you encounter an officer who is hiding their face or badge. First and foremost, record. Always record. The Supreme Court has affirmed your constitutional right to film police officers while they are performing their duties in public. Your phone is your most powerful tool for creating an objective record of what happened. Don't be intimidated. Just film. Second, if an officer refuses to identify themselves, you have the right to ask for a supervisor to be present at the scene. A supervisor is often required to respond and may be more willing to provide identification or de-escalate the situation. Make sure you are recording this request and the entire interaction with the supervisor as well. Third, become a meticulous documentarian. Even if you can't get a name or badge number, document everything else. Note the exact time and location of the incident. Write down the officer's physical description, their height, build, and any distinguishing features. Get the patrol car number, the license plate, and any details about their uniform or the precinct they belong to. All of these details can be pieced together later to help identify the individuals involved. And fourth, don't give up on official channels. File a formal records request for any and all documentation related to your stop or the incident you witnessed. This includes dispatch logs, incident reports, and body camera footage. Even if names are initially redacted or blurred, the existence of the footage itself is critical. A good lawyer can often use these records to eventually uncover the identities that were hidden. Remember this: knowledge combined with documentation equals legal power. You have to create the evidence that the system is trying to hide. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture here. This isn't just about a few isolated incidents or a handful of bad apples. This is about the very foundation of trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. Accountability doesn't make good officers weaker. It actually makes them and their communities stronger. When police operate with transparency, it builds legitimacy and fosters cooperation. The public is more likely to trust and assist officers they see as accountable partners in public safety. But when transparency disappears, that trust collapses. And when trust collapses, everyone loses. Good officers who do their jobs with integrity get painted with the same brush as those who hide behind anonymity to abuse their power. The relationship between the police and the public becomes adversarial, making the job of policing harder and our neighborhoods less safe. So the question we should be asking isn't should officers be allowed to hide. The real question is, what happens to the concept of justice when the people enforcing the law are no longer visible? There's a quote that says, "Freedom doesn't vanish overnight, it fades away, law by law." These new rules on officer anonymity might seem like small changes, but they are part of a larger, more dangerous erosion of public oversight. This is why it's so important to pay attention. This is Law Unwrapped, where we simplify the law and expose what's hiding in plain sight. If you found this information valuable, please subscribe to our channel and share this video. Stay aware, because the only thing more dangerous than a hidden face is a public that stops paying attention. Thanks for watching.